Welcome to the Iran Factor. Today we turn to Trump's elusive dream at the Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Recently, President Trump threatened the Taliban in Afghanistan with these words: "If Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those that built it," meaning the United States of America, "bad things are going to happen." President Donald J. Trump. But why this sudden focus on Afghanistan? What has happened to President Trump or the United States? In order to answer to this question, we should look at it from two different angles. First, from Trump's personal motives and his ambition in Afghanistan, and second, from the wider geopolitical aspect, that what are the interests of the United States in going back to Afghanistan. First, from Trump's personal perspective and his own motives. President Trump knows that America's withdrawal from Afghanistan was a disaster. The image of people clinging to airplanes and the chaos in Kabul airport was something that is etched in the memory of everyone, even after President Biden has departed from the White House. President Trump wants to show the world that he is different from Biden. He is a strong leader, and he wants to take back what President Biden has lost. And he wants to show the world that he is making America respected again. And from the geopolitical aspect, wider geopolitical aspect, Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan is not just a piece of land. Look at the map, please. Afghanistan sits right between China, India, Russia, Iran, and Pakistan. America, which has military bases in every corner of the world, has no military base in this part of the world. Regarding China, as President Trump said, America has military bases in East China, in Japan, in South Korea, in the Pacific Ocean, in the Malacca Strait, in Philippines, but no military base in Western China to pressure Beijing. In regard to India, rising India, which Trump had tensions recently, especially about India's relations with Russia, which is sanctions for the Ukraine war, and of course, tensions over trade tariffs with India. And of course, to pressure Russia through Afghanistan in the case of war in Ukraine. And of course, about Iran, and let's consider the Iran factor. Let's not forget Trump's short-term agenda, putting Iran under pressure. After the 12-day war, after snapback sanctions, and after rising tensions over Iran nuclear activities, Iran once again is a top priority for the Israel lobby and for President Trump, who is heavily influenced by the Israel lobby. But can President Trump take Bagram back from the Taliban of Afghanistan? In order to answer this question, let's consider two more questions. First, will America use military forces or to start a war with Taliban of Afghanistan? Unlikely. President Trump knows that Afghanistan is the country that made the Soviet Union retreat from this country. Afghanistan is the country that made America to retreat from this country. So using military forces and starting a new war with Afghanistan is unlikely. And the second question is, why President Trump in 2020 signed the deal with the Taliban of Afghanistan to retreat American forces from this country? For the same reason that President Trump himself in 2020 signed a deal with Afghanistan, with Taliban of Afghanistan, to retreat from this country. For the same reason, it will not start a war or to enter a war, another long war with Afghan. And of course, the Taliban in Afghanistan know that their legitimacy depends on standing against America and foreigners. As the foreign minister of Afghanistan says that this country won't make any negotiation for even an inch of Afghan soil with any foreign country. So using force against Afghanistan is impossible for the Trump administration. What remains is the famous carrot and stick policy, or diplomacy, or finding a third way to consider the interests of Taliban of Afghanistan. For example, if in the Bagram there is for example, private company working there, it may be a third way for Afghan and the Trump administration. And here is another cost. President Trump's heavy-handed policies push countries further away from America. India, for example, under pressure, is getting closer to China and Russia. Afghanistan, under pressure, could do the same, getting closer to China and Russia, or probably Iran and India. So instead of taking back Bagram from the Taliban in Afghanistan, Trump's heavy-handed policies may make Afghanistan to go in the orbit of China and Russia, the exact opposite of what President Trump is claiming to want. Thank you and goodbye.